how are you taking care of yourself? Because if we don't take good care of ourselves, we're not going to be the best for others. And so those things are really important. And having the woman walk away with a clear vision of where they want to be and how they're going to get there.
Welcome to Women's Thrive Podcast. This is where you'll get to hear incredible stories of female entrepreneurs, business owners, women from all walks of life. Myself, Raymond Jan, and my co-host Abigail will be interviewing incredible women, hearing inspiring stories of women from all around the world. I have no doubt that you will find something that will be life-changing for you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and join us for our future episodes.
Hello and welcome to today's podcast episode with your host, Raymond Jan. I'm excited to have my guest today and having a conversation about abundant living and rewiring our brains for more positive outlook on life and really changing our lives for the better. And of course, my guest today is a lovely Carmen. Hi, Carmen. How are you joining? How are you doing?
Hello everyone. I'm doing wonderful.
Where are you joining from?
I am in the United States of America, and I live in Maryland in a growing city called Frederick.
Frederick, amazing. Well, today's conversation will be quite interesting, as my guests have quite a few things to share about abundant living from her life experiences. So my guest today is Carmen Reeves Jenkins. She's a certified abundant living coach who helps women and military women veterans develop strategies for living abundantly inside out. And as a licensed independent clinical social worker, she helps her clients rewire their negative thoughts into positive ones and help them engage in much healthier behaviors that helps them change their life stories and create new narratives that impact not only their lives, but also relationships with others. So, Carmen, good to have you here. It's going to be an interesting conversation.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I know it's something that you're very passionate about, and you have quite a story. You've come quite a long way in your own life experiences. Tell me a little bit more about your journey and how you got here.
Yeah, sure. And I think that the word abundance has been something I've been chasing for a long time, not consciously being aware of that. But even as a child, I can remember just wanting to have a complete life, whatever that was going to be, and to be happy, be healthy, to be connected with people that love me, people that I loved. But it was a journey. But I came from, like many people, from two imperfect parents. They weren't perfect, didn't really kind of have a clear, defined life plan. They just kind of made things happen as they went along. And I was a product of their relationship. My mother and father were never married. My father had 3 other children with another woman. I have a sister. We are a week apart in age. So she's a week older than I. So my father was a worldly gentleman. And so just having that type of life experience with having some disconnections with my siblings, we never really developed a healthy relationship, and seeing some unhealthy relationships in my own family with aunts and uncles and cousins. I always knew that that's not what I wanted, but I wanted something that was going to be plentiful and something that was going to make me feel good, feel well. But like most people, I began to behave in a way of familiarity, the things that I was familiar with from how I grew up and how I saw other relationships, not really knowing how to establish a healthy relationship. And so I followed the examples of what I knew until I learned better, which came many years later in my life. One of the reasons why I went into social work, I was graduated from high school at 17, very young and naive, and teenagers think they know everything and they're invincible. I quickly learned that I did not know a lot. I joined the Army a month after graduating from high school with all these big visions and dreams. And my first duty station was in Germany. So not only did I have an organizational, cultural awareness and shifts and changes I had to make, I was in a foreign country that I really knew nothing about. And so I had some relationships during that time, but the relationships that I engaged in were very much like the relationships I saw in my biological family. So they weren't very healthy. So I spent quite a few years in some dating relationships, but not feeling fulfilled in those relationships because I didn't really know what fulfillment was. I just knew it was something that I wanted. And so I spent 9.5 years on active duty and then transitioned into the Army Reserves and went into the field of study of social work, primarily to find out about myself. But what I began to fall in love with was learning about other people, learning about the mind, the brain, sociological societies and cultures. And that's what I began to do as my job, as far as work, but still having some relational challenges. My husband and I got married, but not really knowing a lot about how to build a family, but we thought we did. And I remember having a conversation with my mother, and she was trying to share with us that you guys are going to have some challenges. And I thought, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But I found very soon that she was right. But it was very difficult. It was very challenging, primarily because my husband and I, again, had this vision and idea of what life and marriage was going to be like, but not really being equipped and really having the tools that we needed to really combine our lifestyles and how we were reared and how we grew up to have a healthy, holistic relationship and to bring children into the world that had confidence in themselves, had good self-esteem, and were able to persevere through life challenges. So unfortunately, my husband and I did our very best, but we separated after 32 years of marriage. And that was an emotional breaking point for me. I think what I had learned over the years were some healthy, some negative coping skills. And I was able, with being in the military, to persevere through challenges. But I found out after that separation that the coping skills I had developed were no longer working. And I got to a point in my life where I really didn't know what to do. I didn't really know how to feed myself. I didn't really know how to engage with people around me because I was really broken at that point.
Life has a way of bringing us the lessons that we have not dealt with in a very interesting way. And sometimes it comes about in finding ourselves in a breaking point, really. And that's what it sounds like. 32 years, Carmen. Oh my goodness. That's a very long time. And
we grew up together.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you mentioned quite a few things there about your parents perhaps not having a good example of what a family was like, and that really perhaps didn't teach you all the things that you needed to. What was that moment when you found yourself in the breaking point and started to discover that perhaps you need new ways of functioning? What was that journey like? What did you have to do? What did you uncover perhaps about yourself and how to navigate life?
Yeah, I really began that process when I went into school for social work. But what I didn't get into was really digging deep and uncovering the layers that I had built up. So it was like taking, a potted plant and putting the potted plant in soil that wasn't really nutritious, didn't have the nutrients, didn't have the things that it needed, and then trying to figure out why it's not growing properly. Or watering it, but it's still not really growing. It's not really healthy. So I do the things I knew to do until I learned to do better. But really, what was the change for me and turnaround was when I had children, because I was very purposeful and intentional about them not having some of the life experiences that I had had. Although they still experienced some negative things, because my husband and I still weren't at a place of really understanding how our behaviors impacted our entire family. And so I would say my children grew up. I have a daughter and a son, and they're both in their middle adulthood lives right now. My daughter's 32 and my son is 27. But they, as most of us do, have things from their childhood and teenage experiences that they're trying to work through. So I believe I did better than my parents, but not my best. And by the time I really learned what those better things were, my children were adults and out of the house. And so having conversations with them still has required me to make some pivots and to make some adjustments and changes, but being open to understanding that there's changes I need to make and being willing to make those changes. So having children was a really pivotal point, and being married to an individual who had a particular mindset that was different from mine, and getting to the point, as I said, in our relationship, with finding out that all the things I thought were good and healthy were not really working. And so, although I thought that as a social worker and all these things I had learned in school, I can forge ahead and we're going to make it work. But I found that sometimes, no matter how much you try, if the other person is not on board or in agreement with making those adjustments and those changes, it really doesn't matter what you do. And that for me was just something that I couldn't settle for. And I think a part of those misunderstandings of my impact on him and his impact on me really got to the point where my veneer and the exterior and how I presented myself to other people was just in a shambles. It just totally broke down. And that was really the primary point in my life where I said, everything that I have done in the past has got to be different moving forward.
What does abundance mean to you now?
It means having a quality life. It means being fulfilled. It means being joyful, because happiness comes and goes. It also means just being safe and secure. Riches come, material things come, they can go, but having that inner sense of security and peace is what's very important to me. And having relationships that are not dependent upon what I do or what other people do, but just being connected with people that have like mindsets and that I can be myself with.
I love that. I think abundance is really mindset in the way you say it, because sometimes you could have all the riches in the world, but you still feel poor with your relationships, and you feel like you don't have the inner happiness. And for me, I think when we started this conversation, so you're like, I was chasing that abundance my entire life. And it's really finding it within yourself.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm passionate about. I understand what it is to try to replace sorrow, disappointment, heartbreak with things. They really can't. And what it's like to try to have a new job and change your environment and all the things that we try to do to make ourselves at peace. But it really has to come from within.
Who do you mainly help with to change that perspective?
Yeah, they're really women that are much like where I have been, who I was, and who I am still yet aspiring to be. There's still some tweaks and changes that I'm working on in my own mindset and in my own emotionality. But it seems to be that the women that connect with me are women that are various stages of their lives where I have been. Women that are in their 30s and they're trying to find that relationship, that one. And women that are in transitional stages of life, moving out of their family environment and moving out on their own and trying to establish their own adulthood. Women that are transitioning in jobs, in careers that they've been in for many years, and now they're venturing to unknown territory in some ways, changing career paths. But women whose children have grown up and now they're out of the house, and now they have the time to sit and really think about, what life is it that I really want? What is it that I want to do? What's going to bring me some enjoyment and peace? Women that are entering into retirement and not really sure what's next. And some women that have had some really difficult challenges in relationships, yet they still want to be in a relationship, but have some aversions to I don't want to really experience the same kinds of things. I don't want to go through some of the challenges that I've had in past relationships. So they're me in different forms, different names, different cultures, but they're still women like myself.
Yeah. A lot happens in life transition. I know that for sure of myself, that whenever I had these really, I'd say, pivotal times in my life, you're almost at a crossroads. And I always have, when I find myself in that situation, I always
Yes.
almost
Yes.
see myself standing at these crossroads saying, if I choose that route, that, like sliding doors mode, that life is going to unfold for me. If I choose that route, that life is going, and you can't have both. Even if you want to have both, you got to take a leap and go all in. And sometimes it's quite daunting because it's going to take you on a whole new path. And sometimes you just got to be brave in a way to take that.
Absolutely. And there can be some fear there. But, we talk about our secret sauce and what makes what we do different from others. And it's really specializing the coaching to the heart of that woman and helping her really own who she is and moving forward with confidence. We're going to make some mistakes. We're not going to get things correct, but moving forward, taking one step at a time, and each one of those steps, knowing that we're making some building blocks. And even being able to look back at the progress that they have made, because sometimes it's hard for us as women to see the good things that we have done and the things that have had good, healthy outcomes. And so I really tailor my coaching to that individual woman, but also what's similar in every coaching experience is rewiring, retraining how we think, so that we're not thinking about ourselves as failures. We're not thinking about ourselves as missing the mark. We're not thinking about ourselves as incapable. And if I'm not in a relationship with someone else, I'm not going to be my best self. Well, that's not true. Those are enhancements. Those are cherries on top of the cupcake. But the cupcake is who we are, and the sweetness, finding that sweet spot in life and helping women really, really be able to visualize that. So envisioning and having a vision is really important.
I remember when I was working with a mentor quite a while back, and she said something, along the lines of, if you want to be successful, really, and have a joyful life, it's no good just being successful in one area and neglecting the other. Because I used to work quite a lot, and I'll find that my relationship would suffer at times because I was so focused on getting to a specific place in my career. And she's like, it really helped me to rewire. And sometimes it's so good to have like an external perspective to bring it all home and to reflect it back on you, even where you're making mistakes, because we could be so rooted into, I'm just trying to get to that next milestone. I'm doing it right. I'm doing this for the family. I'm doing it for us. But actually, you're getting really blindsided by your own almost ignorance and blind spots. I find that that's where working with someone like yourself would really help uncover those areas.
Absolutely. Yeah. We start off with what the woman expresses that she wants some help and support in. But then I'm very intentional about looking at their overall life. And so we look at about 8 or 9 categories: finances, relationships, career, and entertainment and hobbies and various things, so that they can really get a good understanding of what their life is like and if it's balanced or out of balance, and where they might want to spread out some of their focal points. And so we look at what your top 3 areas, what things in your life would you like to see different, and how would you like to see those things? And then we can then pull in other things that they've already done and really look at their assets, and then look at those areas where they had good intention and even had a goal and a plan, but what would have taken them to get to the next step? So not that it was a failure, but there's still something we can pull out of their past behaviors and actions to apply to this particular goal. And I'm really a big believer in having balance, because we can, as women, focus a lot on others, but not focus so much on ourselves. And sometimes we can use that as a way of not really looking at the biggest part of our lives. You know, I'm taking care, as you said, of my children, and I'm taking care of other people, but how are you taking care of yourself? Because if we don't take good care of ourselves, we're not going to be the best for others. And so those things are really important. And having the woman walk away with a clear vision of where they want to be and how they're going to get there this year, next year, 5 years from now, because life can overtake us in some areas. And so sometimes we have to come back together and regroup and revisit some areas as well.
Yeah, for sure. Now it makes sense when you say creating a life of abundance from inside out. Now it makes sense to me. It's like, okay. So it's just everything, because everything is so interconnected. I'll put my hand up and say, I'm one of those people who just like to go all in on something. And because I go all in on one thing, sometimes I don't go all in on other things. So some part is always, like self-care or the fun part. I'm like, yeah, there's definitely creating that balance where you can have it all. Not all at once. You can have it all if you truly figure out what are your goals and priorities and how to create a better, really more abundant and joyful life.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we look at time management, because sometimes that's a hindrance. We're not managing the time that we have to the best of our ability. So it's not always that a woman doesn't have a vision or focus or goal, but it may be the way she's managing her time.
Yeah.
And so it's more than just talking about life and livelihood. It's really boiling it down, unpeeling some layers, and sometimes even revisiting some experiences in life, because sometimes we want to avoid certain things because of past negative or bad experiences.
I find that for women especially who been in a place where they played a role of mother and a wife and they've been a great at what they do, perhaps they neglected and forgot themselves and what is it that they wanted. And even just reminding yourself that you can have it. You deserve to honor yourself. And I've recently been on a trip to Ibiza for a retreat, and I felt like I'm so good at giving to others, but at times when there was an opportunity to receive or to give to myself the same, just honoring that time and the experiences, I wasn't giving it to myself. And I was like, that's interesting. So I just want to remind some of the ladies that are listening, give yourself the permission to say, this is your time. You can be happy. You can dream. You can envision a whole new life and create it. It doesn't have to be sometime decades away. It can be now. You deserve to have it now.
Absolutely. Yes. We talk about quick wins. What can we do now? What can you have now? And sometimes it's just having a day to themselves.
Wow.
But it definitely is we talk about grinding and getting things done. And sometimes some women I've spoken with, it's like, now that your kids are gone and now that you have the time, what is it that you'd like to do? And sometimes it's very difficult for them to come up with something for themselves, because as you said, they've been so used to giving to others and being there for others and being relied on and counted on. And if I call Aunt Mary, she'll take care of it. She'll get it done. She'll do it. But then when those areas have been fulfilled and it's just time for Aunt Mary just to sit and relax, it's kind of challenging sometimes for Aunt Mary to know how to do that, or even to know what she wants for herself.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that it also happens a lot after you've been through, let's say, an intimate relationship for a very long time, which I'm sure you can speak on. your identity was so intertwined with that person and your goals and dreams and future and the vision. And now you're in that life transition and you're thinking to yourself, well, what do I want? Who am I even? Right? Well, what was your experience after, leaving 32 years marriage? Did you have to kind of reinvent what your life was going to be like after that?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely was an identity shift. And it's 6 years in that journey since we separated. And what I'm learning first and foremost is I'm a woman first.
Mm.
And who is that woman? All the other roles are those things that I did or that I do. I'm a grandmother, but that's not who I am primarily. I'm a woman that's a grandmother. And so putting that identity of womanhood first and being comfortable and confident and have peace in that then allows me to do the other things better. And having boundaries. There are times where I didn't do so well with that. And so we can wear ourselves down, we can get exhausted, we can get exasperated, we can get frustrated, we can be angry. But when we kind of look back at it and say, if I had just said no at that time, I would have then maybe not been upset. But it's oftentimes that we're not giving of ourselves because we feel that it's the only option. We've just gotten so used to doing it. And sometimes we have to learn how to say no. I love to, but not right now. And take that time to really focus on ourselves. And I'm still learning to do that. I'm much better at it. But there's sometimes where I have to catch myself. I want to volunteer for something. I want to help somebody. And I have to say, nope, not today. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, just training in life that you feel abundant in, and sometimes just letting yourself have an afternoon. And even today, as a prime example, my usual default is an afternoon, have lunch, and then go answer some emails, do some admin if I don't have any calls. And today I was like, well, I was left with my daughter, so there was no one to look after her, and I didn't have that time to go and do my thing. I was like, well, then it's going to be mother and daughter time for us to just go out and explore and go shopping, do something for us, which ordinarily I wouldn't necessarily just spring off and do. But sometimes you just have to allow yourself to do things that for pure enjoyment because you deserve it,
Yes,
because you
for
can have
sure.
it.
And it can be challenging in that sometimes when I'm talking with women, it's uncomfortable to just do something by yourself.
Yeah.
Because they've been used to doing things with other people. And so sometimes that is a process we have to work through, getting them comfortable with just being with themselves.
I love that. I actually love traveling on my own. I can go for dinners on my own. It's a thing. It's so much fun.
I have no problem with it. I'll go here, go there. I just went on a vacation to the Dominican Republic. I had a great time.
Oh
But
yeah.
I know a lot of women that would never do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be me on that plane on my own. Oh, Carmen, this has been amazing. I wish we had more time because this is really juicy stuff that I think every woman just should be reminded that it's okay, pour into yourself. You can have different mindset. You can have a life that feels amazing. And it doesn't mean you need to have millions of dollars in your bank account. It doesn't mean you gotta have a
No.
perfect relationship. You can have an amazing life without whatever society says you should have of your checkbox, because it does not need to be that. You can create it
That's
on
right.
your own terms, really.
Mm-hmm.
Carmen, I know you're going to be speaking at the Women Thrive Summit in
Yes,
March, so
next
I'm very
year.
excited about spending more time with you. How are you feeling about that?
Great. I'm looking forward to it. And in preparation, I'm learning some things too. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful experience and opportunity.
Yeah,
And a gift to give to others. I love making women feel special.
yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I love the speakers we have and the experiences that they create. They truly give their hearts and they most care when they come and deliver their talks at the summit. So I know it's going to be phenomenal. I know you're going to put on something magical on the day. So Carmen, if people wanted to connect with you, what would be the best way to do that?
Yeah, they can reach me through my website. It's www.4al.com. So that stands for Inner Healing for Abundant Living. I'm on Facebook as Coach K. I'm on Instagram as Coach K. I'm on LinkedIn, Carmen Reeves Jenkins. And if you just Google Carmen, my name is spelled Karmin. There's not a lot of us. I'll pop up somewhere.
Well, of course, for our podcast listeners, if you are watching this on YouTube as well, we're going to put everything in the show notes so you don't have to wonder where to find Carmen's contact details. So make sure you go check it out. Connect with her and just drop into her DM. Look.
Yeah, let's have a chat.
Yeah, just conversation. It's just conversation. And I know that's how I found my mentor some time ago. I just love just listening to her videos and just reading her posts all the time. And it was just a conversation. And honestly, it was life-changing. This is where massive shifts can start beginning for you. Carmen, it's been amazing. I look forward to seeing you very soon again.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a great time.
Amazing. To all of our listeners, thank you so much for tapping into today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, share it with others, leave a little review for us. And there's going to be so many more amazing conversations coming through to Women Thrive podcast. So stay tuned, make sure you are subscribed, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. So take care for now. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Women Thrive podcast. If you found today's episode empowering and inspiring, be sure to subscribe and follow us. Better yet, leave a review and share it with others. We're committed to bringing you more stories that will empower and inspire you on your own journey. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep pursuing your dreams.